Oh, in here then with a fair day's trade in the bag in Tokyo.
That's right. The Nikkei just closing, Stuart, closing up around 0.4%. It's actually the Shanghai Composite, though, that's getting the big headlines this Tuesday, largely on account of some fresh figures out on China's trade surplus, climbing to $16 billion in December. That's actually double the forecast. Big concern that China is in line for some sort of hard landing during 2012, but it appears to be holding its own, at least on the export front. And investors in China, judging by those figures on the Shanghai Composite, aren't too concerned right now about any sort of hard landing. The Shanghai Composite trading around 1.5% in the green right now.
Now, the Swiss National Bank's vice chairman, he's going to be in his former boss's shoes this Tuesday. Thomas Jordan took over from Philipp Hildebrand after he resigned over a trading scandal involving his wife. Hildebrand may have restored order to the sedate world of Swiss banking, but as Helen Percival reports, he quit before the board could really get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
It seems he jumped shortly before being pushed. Switzerland's central bank chief Philipp Hildebrand resigned on Monday amidst a firestorm surrounding controversial currency trades by his wife.
I have come to the conclusion that it is not possible to provide conclusive and final evidence that my wife did indeed initiate the foreign exchange transaction on the 15th of August without my knowledge. The fact is, my word is my bond.
Back in August, Hildebrand's wife, a former hedge fund trader, bought 400,000 Swiss francs worth of dollars. 3 weeks later, Hildebrand oversaw steps to cap the rising Swiss franc, and the couple pocketed around 75,000 Swiss francs. Hildebrand insisted he knew nothing of his wife's transactions and has since donated a large sum of money to charity to compensate for their profit. Swiss parliamentarians arrived in the city of Bern on Monday morning to grill Hildebrand about the trades, but he quit before the meeting got underway. The resignation of the Swiss National Bank's youngest president leaves vacant one of the top 10 banking jobs in the world.
Well, at least with all that, Switzerland remains one of the safe havens for financial investors right now. Not something you can say about the Eurozone. And of course, that Eurozone debt crisis was very much on the agenda when President Nicolas Sarkozy and Angela Merkel of Germany met for their first bilateral summit of the new year. They met in Berlin. Lots of talk about the financial transaction tax, the Tobin tax on financial transactions. But Angela Merkel was very keen to spell out the reality for Greece now, a country that's admitted in the last week that it's potentially 3 months away from going to the wall and potentially crashing out of the euro with some 14 billion euros of bonds due to mature. Merkel was at pains to stress that the Eurozone leaders have to come up with some kind of package to make sure Greece gets its second bailout of 130 billion euros. Here's German Chancellor Angela Merkel.
The voluntary debt restructuring of Greece must be pushed forward and, in our opinion, the second Greek rescue package, including the restructuring, must be quickly realized. Otherwise, it will not be possible to pay the next tranche to Greece, which we need to be able to do. We want Greece to stay in the Eurozone.
That was German Chancellor Angela Merkel speaking in Berlin on Monday. Let's leave that alone for a moment and give you a couple more of the day's business headlines for you. Japanese camera maker Olympus is suing board members and its own president as part of a $50 million lawsuit aimed at recovering losses into the false accounting scandal. But the company has confirmed that those named in the litigation will nevertheless remain with the company until April. Olympus is attempting to draw a line under losses of nearly $2 billion that were covered up during a series of badly managed deals stretching back over 20 years.
Shares in US internet TV Netflix have risen 14% following the company's announcement that it's expanding in Europe. The firm's stock had been battered throughout 2011 as customers abandoned it over a price hike. It surged on news that it will compete with Amazon's rival Love Film service in the UK and Ireland. And next, the sunken ferry company that's still causing waves, the Seafront saga, looks set to cause new problems.
Yeah, certainly in the corridors of power in Brussels, at least, Stuart. It was thought that really this company was simply going to sink, as you say. It was officially liquidated by a court in Paris on Monday. You can see there many of the staff from this company turned up to protest about this company going to the wall. There were plans to try and turn it into a workers' cooperative using the redundancy money that those 800 or so workers would have had. That failed. It means now that the company has been liquidated, but this is really only the start of a new chapter in the whole battle.
And it's the fate of the Sea France fleet, of course, that's taken the story beyond French borders.
Well,
really.
That's right. You've got the boats belonging to this company actually lying redundant in port, and it's Eurotunnel, the company that operates the under the Channel tunnel, which wants to buy those boats. It wants to buy them to lease out to another company. But this has caused a new storm in itself. P&O, the biggest operator of cross-channel ferries, has objected very strongly to this idea, saying it would breach EU competition rules, essentially saying that it would be unfair for a company to be able to operate trains under the channel and then operate boats going on the surface as well. It seems that the European Commission will have the last word on this. They've already ruled that Sea France and its parent company SNCF were in breach of state aid rules when SNCF gave Sea France around 200 million euros just to stay afloat. But the official word now is that company has been liquidated.
OK, I'm intrigued by this next one because it sounds incredibly dangerous. Can you drive and social network all at the same time? Well, car manufacturers at this year's Detroit Auto Show are trying to lure the Facebook generation with ways of staying connected behind the wheel. Nathan King has been having a look.
Here in Detroit, you can tell the confidence is back in the US auto industry. Concept cars like this Mirai were few and far between in the frugal years. Mirai, by the way, means future in Korean, and it's got something for everyone. It looks like a Batman car. It's actually, they say, more like Robin for the young urban professional. It's also got a Chevy Volt electric battery in there as well for the environmentally minded. Who knew a racing car with environmental heart? But it's not really these concept cars that have pushed the American auto industry back. It's something a little bit more sedate, more sedan-like, like this Malibu over here. What they're doing here at GM, Chevy, and other US automakers is making smaller subcompact cars that have individual flair, that you can connect to Facebook on, that have fantastic internet, also music systems as well, that are custom made for the new Facebook generation. They reckon there are 80 million car buyers here in the US that could be tapping into a new car in the next few years, and they really want to get the young generation involved. It's a new start and a new market for an industry that was just on its knees just a few years ago.
That's all we need. Nathan King posting Facebook while he's driving along when in New York, where he is normally.
Well, you'd have to wonder how the technology works to be able to social network and drive at the same time. The answer to that might lie just a little further south from Detroit. This Tuesday, the Consumer Electronics Show opens in Las Vegas. It's the biggest of its kind in the world. It's the one where, as the name suggests, the actual punters get to put their hands on the latest technology. Lots of talk this year about voice-activated mobile phones, which I guess would plug into that whole idea of being able to drive and use Facebook at the same time. But perhaps the biggest and most exciting development isn't even in Las Vegas. There's lots of rumours going into this show about what Apple is going to do next. That was largely triggered by Steve Jobs talking about developing a new generation of televisions shortly before his death. There's been no official word from Apple, and Apple doesn't really even display usually or unveil products at this show, and yet all the talk going into it has been, will Apple suddenly unveil this new, some sort of television? One to watch.
OK, comes up in about hour and 15 minutes here on France 24. Latest headlines, though, with Claire. 2 minutes' time. Stay with us.